Hey, Polly.
Hey Greg, how are you?
Doing all right. We have another great show today.
We do. Who is it?
We have heroes of the community. That's what I'm going to call them.
All right.
I'm changing their name from RIO to it's Heroes of the Community. HOTC. Here we go. But we are being joined by PJ from the Rio team, the director of Rio.
They are heroes in the community
They
or of the
are.
community. Yep.
They're everywhere. We're used to seeing them in rental vans going around, but now we see them in their own fully decked out RIO Rio vans. So you'll see them all throughout the community. But we have PJ coming on to tell us a little bit about what goes on behind all those vehicles on the road.
I can't wait. I love it when you see the Rio team.
Yeah, it's a great team. So
Yep.
let's hear all about them. So without further ado, joining us today on the Totally Preventable podcast, we have PJ, the director of Rhode Island Outreach at Newport Mental Health. PJ, how are you doing today?
I am well. How are you guys doing today?
Doing pretty good. Thank you for asking. We'd love to start off just by hearing, a little bit about you and how you got to where you are today.
Okay. So I am professionally a licensed clinical social worker. I hold the clinical licensure of LCSW, which means I have a master's in social work and specifically a certificate in graduate studies with substance use disorders and co-occurring. So what that really means is for a long time, I've been working with individuals who struggle with mental illness and those that struggle with substance use. With that, as we know, comes multiple other things sometimes. You have the societal factors of them being unhoused or, lower socioeconomic due to, inability to keep jobs, whatever it is. Persistent mental illness brings a host of other struggles. So I've worked in the community I've worked in Rhode Island for about the past 5 to 7 years in different nonprofit organizations, primarily doing outreach work, running residential treatment for women. I did that before I came here. And then last year in March, I started here as the director of our newest program, Rio, Rhode Island Outreach.
Oh,
Awesome. We're big fans of Rio here. So could you tell people about Rio, what they do, and how they can engage with them?
Yeah, so RIO is the acronym we use that stands for Rhode Island Outreach. To sum it up, we like to call ourselves we're a behavioral crisis response team. Um, Different than emergency services, and I can go on to talk about that. What the difference that our team brings, typically when someone's having like a behavioral health crisis, it could be some suicidal ideation, it could be substance use, it could be something with social determinants of health, like they don't have enough food, and they think about calling an emergency crisis line. You think about getting like police, fire, or like licensed clinicians, hospitalizations. Our team's a little different and that the component of our team is a mix of people that are behavioral specialists, most of which have some form of lived experience, meaning they've struggled with substance use themselves, utilize systems for mental health. So they're bringing that piece to it, more like a peer relationship. And then our other side are all licensed EMTs, but we call them medical specialists because they don't operate like an EMT on the back of a fire truck rig. They operate more community focused. They're there to like patch up a wound, take your vitals, take your blood pressure, check those things. So we're on the streets in Aquidneck Island and North East Bay, and we basically do a couple things. One is preventative outreach, which means we go around to, community hotspots, dinners, soup kitchens, warming shelters, just seeing if people need services, see if they're trying to connect to services, see if they're basic needs items we can get them. And then we also respond to crisis. So we get calls that come triaged through either 988 or our emergency line. And they're calls where the clinician will say, hey, this person doesn't need a clinical assessment. This person definitely doesn't need fire or medical. They just need to talk. Or they just need someone to come out and say, hey, here's a blanket, here's a stop and shop gift card to get you some food through the night, and we'll follow up with you. So that's where we come in as that bridge. So people are not unnecessarily incarcerated or unnecessarily hospitalized, and things that are totally preventable can, we can foresee them coming and we can step in and help them. So that's what we do.
wow.
That's that's awesome.
That's a lot.
I don't know if we have any more questions. I think
And I say a lot all at once sometimes, so bring me back and slow me down. Ask me again. I talk fast sometimes, I know, and a lot at once. So I'm working on it.
that is fine. That is fine. Now you mentioned 988. And can you tell us how you are different from 988? Or how you
So
partner with 988?
So we partner with we do a lot of the same work as 988. We have kind of like the same goals. 988 is typically focused around suicide prevention. So they're the suicide crisis helpline. Most people know 988 to call and say, hey, if you're feeling of having thoughts, or you have a family member or a friend, or you know someone who's having thoughts of committing suicide, call them for support. A lot of people don't know you can also call 988 just to get connected to resources. So it doesn't have to be, I'm thinking about hurting myself in the moment. It could be, I don't know where to go to sleep tonight because I'm being evicted. 988 has a lot of resources. So we're very much the same in that we have the same goals to support people in a crisis. And so they're the crisis line, we're a crisis service. What is neat about us is 988 answers the phone. They have the capacity to kind of walk you through an assessment, try to make sure you're safe, but then they can align with us and we can come to you. So we're mobile. So that's the difference there. 988, you call 988 if you're in our catchment area and you're saying, hey, you know, I've been down and depressed, lost my job, things just aren't looking up. I don't really want to hurt myself right now. Like it's not an immediate kind of like ideation or plan, or there's no safety concerns. I just really need someone to talk to and tell me like, what can I do? Perfect call for Rio. Rio comes out, they de-escalate it. Make sure you're safe. Safety is always first for our staff and for the client, that they don't need to be hospitalized or anything. But after that, it's like, hey, what's going on? Are you being evicted? Do you know how to utilize the shelter coordinated entry system? Is there a bed somewhere we can take you to if you're sleeping outside or in your car? Do you just need a couple gift cards to get food and basic needs for you and your family? So that's where we come in. So we partner with them a lot. When they have calls that are in our catchment area, we respond to them. So they have a direct line to our team, the dispatch.
I tell you, if I'm ever down, I want PJ to pick up the phone.
I did, I was at a local breakfast last week, and there was a gentleman who wanted me to give him a ride somewhere. And I was like, oh, sorry, I can't give you a ride. My job doesn't allow it, but have you talked to Rio? And he was new to the program, and he's like, who's that? And I went outside, found the Rio team. I gotta say, they're pretty cool too. Like they just come,
They are cool.
like they're just so casual. It was like, and I happened to be standing where the man was sitting and got to hear the conversation. And it was just like they were talking to a friend, you know, they're like, hey, what's up, man? And he told them all of his issues and where he wanted to go. And they're like, oh, that place is closed on Wednesdays, but you know, we could make you an appointment for tomorrow. Can we get you a gift card? Like, what do you need? It was just like, there was no judgment. It was not a stressful interaction at all. It was just really casual and cool and helpful. I really was impressed. I really was like, yes.
One of the things that's great about our team is it's no barrier. So a lot of times there's like certain benefits or resources people want to sign up to. And it's like, do you have an ID? Do you have a social? We need this. Do you have proof of income? We don't need anything from you. You don't even have to tell us your name if you don't really want to. We'll work with you and we'll put XYZ with the blue shirt at breakfast. It's fine. So I think that's cool. We're able to do that. It's supportive. It breaks down barriers. But second to that, the benefit of having individuals, we peer recovery support workers or community health professionals with lived experience, I think adds another just level of support and comfortability for the clients. There's nothing like, I say this all the time, like when my team comes to an assessment and they're talking to someone about getting mental health treatment, it's the small things people want to hear. They know they might need assessment, but they want to hear like, Butler has good food, or Butler takes you on a walk. And I know that because 5 or 7 years ago, I had to spend some time in Butler and they really helped me. Or the Butler IOP has this really good clinician named Sandy per se, and Sandy's cool. You can talk to Sandy, or go over to this 90-day program and they let you do this. Like there's nothing like hearing that, because it's like, A, they're not judging me because they went through it. And B, like people don't think about we get all clinical and formal, but can I eat good while I'm there? Like I got to stay there for 7 days. Like what's the food like? Do they let you take a smoke break? These are things that clients care about. And we can tell you what it's like, what the smoke breaks are like, what the food is like, if the blankets are warm. And so I think it just brings another level of support and makes people seem more even and equal and not like someone's talking down to them.
Mhm.
Very important.
Absolutely. Can someone make a call for someone else? If my neighbor seems out of sorts, can I call Rio and say, hey, can you do a wellness check on this person?
Absolutely. We get those all the time, especially from our teams here at Newport Mental Health. So some of the case managers will say, XYZ hasn't come to their last 2 appointments. They missed their med injection. Can you knock on their door? They're not answering their phone. So, yes, you can definitely call for someone that you're concerned about. You can stay anonymous. We don't have to tell them. We're just, hey, we're here from Newport Mental Health. Someone reached out to us, might be concerned. They do have to be voluntary and willing to work with us. Like, we can't force them to go anywhere. We're not a forcible program. But if they open the door and they welcome us and they're willing to get support from us, then we'll work with them.
Now, what type of training does your team have to go through?
So there's a ton of training. So actually, the first few weeks of working, they take several training courses. So we're modeled after the Cahoots program. The Cahoots program is a program that was based in Eugene, Oregon, where they did similar to what we're doing. They brought the treatment to the streets. It looks a little bit different, and we've had to change some things based upon our geographic area. We're on an island. We're not in an inner city. Eugene was more inner city, so it was a little different, but they were also built into the 911 system, so things looked a little bit different for them, but we model them and we fit it to what Newport and Aquidneck Island and East Bay needed. So part of the training is reviewing all the Cahoots documentation and like what they did and the purpose and what the philosophy was behind that. And then we do training such as safety care training. They have trauma informed care training. They take some motivational interview training. We do some training around just safe practices, protocols, being person centered. That's one of the trainings that they go to. And then trainings are continuous. So even though like the first two weeks is strict training, that check off that they have to attend. And then every so often we renew our trainings every year, but they also like things will come up. We had an opportunity this summer. We all took mental health first aid at CCRI. So something comes up, sounds like it would pertain to us, we take it. So we're consistently learning, lifelong learners over here for sure.
All right. All right.
That's great.
Now you said there's a Rio, or I don't know if you said emergency line, but you said there's, instead of 911 or 988, you have a line as well. What is that line?
So we have an emergency service line at Newport Mental Health, which is our main number, the 401-846-1213. You press 1 for the emergency services. That line is answered by a clinical staff person 24 hours a day, 365. So even after hours, there is a clinician who is on triage and will answer that call. So there's 2 ways to get to the Rio team. One is 988. You call them, you're struggling. They recognize this as something that's in the Aquidneck Island or East Bay area. They'll dispatch us if it's deemed appropriate. The second way is to call Newport Mental Health. You call emergency services, you press 1, clinician comes on. They do a basic triage, and the basic triage is just to make sure everyone's safe. There's no risk present, because obviously if you're presenting, calling right now saying, I want to kill myself, I have a gun right here, it's not safe for us or the client to present. Like, we have to get other people involved. And another thing about getting other people involved, if there is a safety concern and we have to present, we can co-respond. So we don't necessarily just have to send like police or medics out. We can come with them, but sometimes we need that extra level of support. So yeah, they can call Newport Mental Health, press 1 for emergency services, 365, 24/7. And it's a live person, not an answering service.
So Rio has a good relationship with the local police. They all know about Rio and work together and can come with Rio and assess a situation, and the police don't mind stepping back for de-escalation or whatever might be needed.
Yeah, I think one of the things, they actually appreciate us. So many times the feedback we've gotten from them is there's tons of calls where we know these people are Newport Mental Health clients. Because one thing I've learned, I'm not from Aquidneck Island, but what I've learned from coming here in the past years, it's a close-knit community. A lot of people don't leave the island. It's the same people over and over. Small community, connected, but you know everybody. They know the frequent, individuals that struggle with persistent mental illness and substance use, and they sometimes know automatically, like, hey, this person just needs to get to Newport Mental Health to see their psychiatrist or to get their meds, or they need to get to the shelter. So they appreciate the fact, like, hey, we don't have to stay by this call. We're gonna call Rio. Rio's gonna come out. So the relationships have been great. We're actually working on a care coordination plan right now. It's gonna model something called, like, Chelsea's Hub is something they started in Boston, where they have all the right people at the table, like once every 2 weeks. So you have case managers from the mental health community mental health organization, you have doctors, you have EMS, you have police, and then you have social services. You have everybody at one table. You start with those that are most vulnerable. You kind of say, well, who's dealing with this person? What do we got in the works? What's happening? And then, like, we formulate plans to kind of keep these individuals from being high utilizers of emergency services. So we're working on doing that right now in Aquidneck Island, which I think will be great. But overall, like, great relationships with the police. They're very responsive, very supportive. They utilize us. So it works really well.
So what is a typical day like for the director of Rhode Island Outreach?
Okay. So depending, it can start at any time, but typically early. So my first team starts at 7. They come on at 7, and they're the team that you'll see at the breakfast. So if you're at the community breakfast, it's my 7 a.m. team. They come out, they start breakfast. My job in the beginning of the day is to make sure that the structure of the day and everything we're supposed to respond to that we already know about is aligned and, dedicated to a team. So my first tab of the day is to review any requests we got the night before, to check in, because what happens is we get follow-up requests, we get requests from teams. So we have something we call a board. So my job first thing of the day is to update the board, make sure the board's accurate. It has everybody on it that needs something from us today. If someone requested it and we can't do it, I've responded. Once that's all done, we have a morning meeting every morning at 10:30, and that's where I meet with all the teams, the 2 teams that are in Newport and then the East Bay team. We go through the board, we assign team 1, you're going to take this, team 2, you're going to take this, team 3, you're going to take that, and we kind of divvy up. We also at that time do like case conferencing. So if there's someone we're struggling with, that's when they get their clinical support from me. Hey, what do you think about this? Should we do this? Any announcements or things I need to go over with them, I do at that time, go through the data from the day before, make sure everything's right. And then typically, if I don't have like meetings, because then, as an agency wide, we have like a directors meeting, a clinical meeting where all the directors have to meet consistently to stay on board and make sure we know what's going on with the programs. I just work on a lot of program things. So in terms of like making sure we have the correct supplies, making sure that our schedules are sufficient, just making sure that the machine keeps working and it's oiled well is what I say, like, my job is to do. Like, I got to make sure somebody shows up if somebody's sick. I got to make sure we have socks to give out. I got to make sure there's a grant to pay for the socks that might need to be written because we ran out of basic needs funds. So yeah, just doing all kind of like the back work to support the team. I'm also available to my team consistently throughout their shifts. So they're on 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. I'm their clinical support. So my phone doesn't go off if my team's on. So they always know in emergency situations, they can call me unless I have like PTO time, and then they connect with the emergency services director. I'm their support. So I'm their background clinical support. And yeah, just making sure everything's running smooth.
I always think it's important to get that aspect because, from an outsider looking in, I see the Rio vehicle and I'm like, hey, but then you very seldomly think about, like you said, the oil that keeps the machine going, all the work that you have to do to make it look so seamless. So hats off to you and the whole team.
Thank you. Thank you. I definitely couldn't do it if I had a team that wasn't committed like they are. So, if they didn't show up, there would be nothing for me to direct. So I appreciate them very much so.
Now, I know this isn't Rio, but I often get it confused, and I think you'll be able to help me. There's something called street outreach, I think, by Newport Mental Health, correct?
Correct.
But it's different from Rio.
It is.
Are you able to tell us the difference?
Yeah. So street outreach, there's a couple things about that program. So street outreach, you have to be either unhoused or an imminent risk of losing your housing. So their primary focus is to work with those that are living like in the street or in shelter. Whereas Rio will go to someone's home. Like you don't have to be unhoused to work with us. We work with a lot of the unhoused because they tend to be the most in need. But we also work with students at Salve that might be struggling, or we work with somebody in their private home. So that's one of the biggest difference. Their focus is those strictly unsheltered. Another thing about them, they're not they are sometimes mobile, like certain case managers can take individuals to appointments, but they don't have the capacity like we do in terms of like the large van, the medics. So they have what's called like a team leader, and then they have case managers. And with the case managers, each get assigned a certain amount of unhoused clients in the area, and then they work with those clients to like secure shelter beds, do other case management tasks like get them doctor's appointments, medical, connect them back with their mental health. So similar to like a IHH or ACT team, like integrated health team model, we're more like crisis response. Street outreach, if you're unhoused, they're going to keep you on your caseload. Like you'll have a caseload and they'll work with you for months or even years to come. Rio, we really work to kind of be like a temporary, we get the temporary solution and then bridge the gap to further care. So we're more of the crisis response, and they're more long-term if you fit the criteria to be in the program.
All right, thank you.
So on your elevator pitch, when is the time to contact Rio?
I would say, to be honest, so we're at 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Every day, 365. And so if it's within them, within those hours, anytime is the time to contact. But if you're meeting like when you're concerned, there's never not a time not to contact Rio. People always say like, what if you don't consider this an emergency? As a clinician, one thing I do know, and I've learned in my years of practice, is we don't get to determine what someone else's emergency looks like. So someone may have been unhoused for 10 years. So they're kind of, they've been used to it. They know the systems, and they're unhoused again. And they're kind of just like, oh, this is okay. I'm figuring out. But this could be their first time ever being unhoused, and this is like trauma at its finest for them. So we don't get to determine that. If it's a crisis for you, it's a crisis for us, and we're going to respond no matter what we think it is. We have people that have what some people would say are high level crisis, and we have some people, like I said, that just don't have food until Monday because SNAP benefits ran out and the first is on Monday. Whatever your crisis is, you call us and we're fine with responding to it.
Now, did you say Rio is Aquidneck Island or all of Newport County?
All of Newport County, and then also East Bay. So East Providence, Bristol, Barrington, and Warren.
So does Rio service Tiverton and Little Compton?
Yes.
And so if someone is in crisis out there, you'll drive out to Little Compton?
We will. We've even taken the ferry over to
Prudence Island?
Prudence Island, yes. Which as a person who grew up in Rhode Island and never even knew what Prudence Island was, I was embarrassed because I'm like, never even knew you had to take a ferry to get there. But we'll go, yeah. And you were in our catchment area.
That's what I'm from Little Compton, and I know we don't have a lot of services there. And that's one of the issues, that when people need services, if they are older and can't drive or can't drive for whatever reason, it's very difficult for them to get services. You have to rely on other people. So
some of the more siloed communities like Tiverton, Little Compton, Jamestown has a large older adult population. They're pretty siloed. They don't, even though they're really close to Newport, they kind of keep to their own. We've been kind of like reaching out to those communities more, because another thing about those communities, a lot of the individuals, they're in homes, so they're not as visible, but they're in home struggling. Like we've come across people so many times that are struggling with their mental health or just struggling with being able to care for themselves. And because it's not visual, like you're not driving down a block in Jamestown and seeing people on the corner, people don't know that that's happening until we get a call from a family, a friend, or an agency. Then we knock on the door and we're like, oh my, I can't believe this person was even, having to live like this. So it's really important in those situations that if people know of people who are struggling in those more siloed communities, they reach out so we can get ourselves in their homes rather than trying to like ride around and look for them.
Now, Rio is a huge entity. Do you work with other organizations?
We do. So we try to connect with any community resources we know in terms of like partnerships. So like We worked this past winter and plan to do so again with MLK and Kodak, and we helped facilitate the warming center. So we were a huge, we did a lot of the transport for that. We took people, we had assigned bus stops, we picked them up, we picked them, brought them back, and our staff also supported some of the shifts there. So whenever we can partner with an agency that kind of has the same mission and is aligned, we do that. We're trying to, we have someone now, not on the Rio team, but someone from Newport Mental Health who is at Newport Hospital daily, in the BHU for rounds, so that if they have someone there that is a Newport mental health client and they need help with like a discharge plan or something, we're able to connect. We're just trying to make all the connections with the providers that we already know are doing the good work. So then, like, if we could help them, then we just align with them. So one of the things we did a lot in the beginning of the program last year was going out to formulate those kind of relationships. In the East Bay area, we go to like St. Brendan's, the Tap In Food Pantry, wherever we think there's people that we could support, then we try to connect and build like relationships. We're in the East Providence in the Weaver Library. We have a night there where we kind of like sit there and offer support. So definitely, we like to form partnerships.
Kind of hard to believe all they do that you've only been up and running for a year.
Yeah, only a year, but a little bit over a year. I started here in March of last year, March. There were already probably 3 or 4 Rio staff hired, but they were working kind of on different teams because there was no director yet. And then I started in March, and then I would say we like really hit boots to the ground in like May. And then we were using like rental vans because we didn't have our vans. Our vans were like getting custom fitted in Pennsylvania. So we probably got our vans end of last summer. So yeah, we're just now like a full year, which is another thing I tell my team, like still learning, like with any formation of program, it's going to take us a few years to really get to see trends where we can change. We're a learning process. If things don't work, we switch it up, we try something new. We're just trying to figure it out. And for a lot of us, we're new to this community. So it's really like, what does this community need that differs from other communities? You know, before coming here, I worked in Providence predominantly all of my career. And it's a different dynamic out there and there's different needs. So I had to just adjust. I can't assume that Quidnick Island, Newport County needs the same thing Providence does because it's not. It's not the same. The resources aren't the same. So I'm just learning and adjusting as we go.
Is there a success story that you remember that you could share with us?
But I think we have a couple. So one, I would say one of for me, when someone is unhoused and we are able to help them attain housing in this like economy in this state, I think that those are always success stories. We've come across many individuals who have been unhoused for a while for whatever reason. Um, Seeing we've gotten right now off the top of my head, I can think of one woman and her family, another 2 single individuals that in the past couple months we were able to get housed. One of the single men have been unhoused in Newport County for the past 5 years, like 5 years sleeping outside, not a shelter bed, not on a friend's couch, literally my Antonomy Park, literally behind a business on Broadway. And one of the things that just he wasn't staying connected. You know, he struggles with substance use, struggles with mental health, pop in for appointment, pop out, not staying consistent. Rio was able to help him get back connected. We're taking him to his appointments because now that barrier is out the way. We're helping him pick up his meds. Now he's able to stay sober. He's staying on his meds. People see that, hey, there's a housing opportunity over here. There's X, Y, and Z want to apply. His housing opportunity actually came to us. He didn't even have to go to it. A provider in the community noticed his behavior changed at breakfast, his behavior changed when they saw him out in the boat, and they were like, hey, has this person ever applied for like these supportive housing apartments? And we're like, yeah, maybe in the past, but they weren't considered. They gave them the opportunity. So I would say seeing something like that, because what we know is like basic needs, food, shelter, clothing, you can't really do much if you don't have those. So it becomes hard to work with people if they don't even know where they're going to sleep tonight. And so I would say just like those stories. We had another woman and her children who were unfortunately unhoused because they had a temporary summer rental. And then we know how things turn over in the summer here. They wanted them out in May so they could rent to vacationers. She had nowhere to go, wasn't able to afford anything. We were able to get her a temporary stay at a motel. And then after the motel, we were able to get her and secure her a housing unit off island at an affordable price. So that was really nice too.
That's great. we have been hearing of a lot of individuals that have been talking about getting housing lately, which is
Mhm.
nice because that did not seem like it was going to be possible for a long time. It seemed like people were on lists forever.
Mhm.
So it's nice to hear when someone was jingling their keys at us the other day, very proud of his new apartment. So
One of the things Newport Mental Health has teamed up with 50 Washington Street, and they have all the like they did the construction, so that brought about I think like 15 new units, and they prioritized clients who were already connected with services. That helped a ton, and just I think people were more willing to consider individuals when they knew that there was a support for them. So
Mhm.
I'm not because sometimes you want to house somebody, and the housing first model is you should definitely house somebody regardless of what's going on with their mental health substance use, but you also don't want to set someone up for failure. So it's like the catch 22. I don't want to put you in this apartment. I know you have no support. No one's coming to check on you. You're not taking your meds. You're actively using. I'm setting myself up for what? Like failure or death because you'll get in this apartment and then something could happen to you. So I think people are more comfortable when they're like, hey, you have Rio who checks on you. You might have street outreach who checks on you. You have your case manager who checks on you. Let me give you a shot because the wraparound services are there.
Now, for our listeners, one more time, can you tell us how we can get in contact with Rio?
Absolutely. So they can dial 988 or they can dial Newport Mental Health at 401-846-1213. And then you're going to press the prompt number 1 for emergency services.
Thank you so much, PJ. I feel like we know a lot about Rio, but this has really helped me know more about Rio and
Yeah.
exactly what they're for. And I would urge anyone to call. I mean, they're a great bunch of people, and I wouldn't feel uncomfortable recommending them to anyone. I
Right,
think
right.
they're great.
Thank you for enlightening us.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I would just add is that if we're not the right person for you, like for the case, for the scenario, call us anyway, because we might know a resource. So there's never not a wrong call. Like just give us a call. If we can't help you, maybe we can direct you to who can help you.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, PJ. It was great to meet you.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for having me. You guys have a good rest of your day.
You
as
too.
well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.